Yo, what's poppin'? All my peeps. It is I, your host with the most, Renaissance man who always thinks he can, and champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, joined alongside, as always, the best of the West. You cannot forget about Sarah Marshall, back for another episode of Pitts and Sarah's Wrestling Show. Sarah, what's poppin', girl? How we doing?
I am ready to talk about WrestleMania.
I'm ready.
To party.
I mean, I could not be in a more euphoric state. Right now. I got a little insight to the champ's personal life. I'll give the peeps here. I do not have work tomorrow, so I got the signal to I have off tomorrow, which means that I can just watch wrestling tonight, no worries, and it feels good. Raw was incredible, coming off that high a little bit, which obviously, if you watch the Raw Rewind on Sarah's YouTube channel, I shared my thoughts there, and that was an incredible moment of the week. But it's just not only that, like, it's just different now with WrestleMania. Like, and Sarah, I want your thoughts on this. Okay, so I have a friend right now who is a wrestling fan, but just other shit is going on in his life where he can't follow as much. But he knows that right now the product is the best that it's, I would say, ever been. At least since the 90s or early 2000s.
Yeah.
So, like, for him to say that and recognize and be like, I just don't have the time to watch it. But then for us, that's kind of a flip it to us now, where this is the best possible time you could possibly watching leading into a WrestleMania.
Yeah. Well, and you can record and watch it on your own time, because then you can fast forward through the commercials. You can fast forward through anything that maybe you don't care about. But yeah, I feel it's like, obviously you went to Raw and you brought Sora, who is relatively new to wrestling, but it is enjoyable. Obviously he went to like the perfect first Raw, but it is kind of at that point right now that if you aren't a wrestling fan right now as it is, I wouldn't suggest starting to watch right now, because there's so much going on and so many storylines going on that if you just started watching right now, you'd probably be so confused. And it's like, it would be good and entertaining, but at the same time, it's like, why does this guy hate this guy, and why are these guys jumping this guy, and why is this girl saying, like, it's just so much, because it's all the lead up to Mania. It's kind of like after Backlash, that's like the perfect restart. It's kind of like, the NFL starts the new league year next week. I feel like that's kind of like the WWE's like new league year. It's like after Backlash, it's like, okay, we're kind of like starting out fresh. Everything is I guess it's kind of new. There's some stuff that continues, like we know the Bloodline probably, but
that's
for the most part, there's new feuds and new people up from NXT and whatnot. So
I'm interested you said after Backlash.
Well, it's because it's WrestleMania Backlash, so it's all the like closing of whatever happened at Mania. At least that's how they traditionally have been doing it.
But usually people wouldn't say that, and I like how you said that, though, because the easy answer is, just watch Mania and then the night after, and you can start in fresh. But, Backlash is really where I would say the new leaf or the new season begins, because you do have those loose ends from WrestleMania that still need to be tied up and finished. And sometimes it does need, Backlash, or at least one more match, we'll say, to really finish that story. And I think it's interesting, because that's another element of WrestleMania that we haven't really talked about, which unfortunately we aren't.
And the thing that I keep forgetting about is the Raw after Mania. I keep forgetting about that, because I feel like, we're very excited about the 2 days of Mania, and then I've completely forgotten about how Raw after Mania is usually like one of the best Raws of the year, and I completely forgot about that. So I'm like, we have 3 days of just amazing wrestling, and I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited, especially because there are so many people that can be called up. There's so many people that could make debuts or return. And so I'm just very excited. And you know, we talked about this off camera, but I think it was off camera. Um maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Anyway, about how this Mania just feels different. It feels bigger. It feels like more exciting, and it is because of how much of it is the unknown, with Triple H being in charge of everything. So I feel like that makes the Raw after Mania even more exciting too, because we kind of got a feel for what Vince was doing with the Raw after Mania, but I expect it to be like similar but quite different with Triple H now doing it. But I'm very
Yeah.
excited.
Oh,
There's
it's
a
gonna
lot to look forward
be.
to.
There's a lot to look forward to. I'm so excited for it, and that's
Yes.
why I kind of decided to take this week to talk about our favorite WrestleMania moments. I mean, last week on this show, we just went through the card and what we expect is going to be on, this year's show. Where now let's dive into Mania from the fan perspective of us, and
Mhm.
talk about our favorite moments and different aspects of WrestleMania that people would say, "Oh, this is the best," or "This is the best," but what we're going to say, it could be the best, it could be the worst. It's just what we love. And I think
Yeah.
that's another element of Mania that is kind of, I wouldn't say forgotten per se, but it's one of those things where you can tell the type of wrestling fan, I would say, um, through their favorite Mania moments. I mean, at least for me, you're going to know right off the bat with the
Mhm.
type of fan I am of my favorite stuff. But we're going to get all into that now, in this episode. But we got to start out because we do it with every Pits and Sarah wrestling show. We got the Rosebud and lemon. Don't be a lemon, Sarah.
We
Be
need
a.
that sound bite.
We do need a soundbite. I'll work on that in Canva. That's a good idea.
Okay.
That's yeah. We do need a soundbite transition.
We
Don't be
need
a
a lot
lemon.
of we need a lot of sound
We
bites.
need a lot of sound bites. We're work in
Yeah.
progress. We're
Mhm.
yeah. We're just we're just like yeah. So lemon rosebud kicking off with the rosebud of the week. I'm gonna kick off with mine because I'm too excited. Usually the host lets you go, but
Yeah.
Sarah, I'm so excited because now I can start my WrestleMania rewatches over again. I did take a
Mhm.
little bit of a hiatus
Well,
because
yeah.
I did watch eight.
You watched a lot.
I watched 18 manias in
Like,
a week.
yeah.
So I watched all those and that was great. And I saw obviously the great moments that I wasn't really alive for or wasn't
Mm.
fully a wrestling fan
I
for
wasn't really alive for, meaning like you weren't alive.
for 1986. Yeah, but like
Yeah,
I'm
the
saying
ones
like
where I
even
like wasn't really alive, I was only kind of alive. I was like still in my dad, but
but
like
now
I was still in my dad.
I was just chilling with my dad.
Yeah, I was chilling with
So
my dad.
yeah, but with this one, with this next, I would say wave of WrestleManias I'm gonna watch. They're all ones that I watched growing up, and I am halfway through WrestleMania 19 right now. I
We're
paused
getting
it
to some good ones too. The next like I mean, yeah,
20.
there's a good like chunk and that are pretty good.
I was hyping
WrestleMania
myself.
20,
That was like, I mean, and thank God for Peacock and NBC
yeah.
that they don't blur out, the greatest moment in WrestleMania history until this year, obviously. And I was even mentioning this at work. I was just saying to myself, like, once I found out that I had tomorrow off, and I was just like, oh my God, I can do this now. I can start and we can just binge this. And people are like, well, why do you do this? And I had people ask me this, like, it's because you learned so much and you
Yeah.
don't even realize it. I mean, the first WrestleMania I watched to 19. I mean, for God's sakes, you have Undertaker coming out on a motorcycle, and in the first batch I watched, he was the Dead Man with Paul Bear. Like
Yeah.
the evolution with him, you have not only the superstars evolving, but the showcase itself, the stage, the celeb. Like it's so you're gonna now it's we're gonna see that WrestleMania involvement in the 21st century.
Mhm.
And with that, and I'm very excited to watch this now from a different lens, I would say.
Yeah. I wish that I had the time to do it, but I will just live vicariously through you.
I'm just a psycho who
I
I
think
don't care about trends. I'm doing what I want to do.
well, and no, I'm not I don't mean that. I just mean
Oh
like
yeah,
I have so much other things that I have to do, but like
great.
I want to be able to go through and watch them, but it's probably going to be something that I don't get to do until like after Mania maybe, you know. It's like
Yeah,
I'm just there's so much going on in the football world.
you're really, and
And
that's what
then
I'm doing after this.
yeah, and I'm trying to get, you know, my foot in the door with wrestling writing. So it's just like that's taken up so much. Like that's basically what I do every single night is like
See
write
this.
like 4 articles.
See, David gets it. Just Limp Bizkit performing "Rolling a Crack Addict," which it just like
Yeah.
it's so good. You talk about your Rosebud because I'm gonna keep
um
royal rambling over here.
well, mine's obvious, but it's John Cena.
John
Because
Chana.
yeah, John Cena. Um you know, I think no matter what he did this week, I would have said that that was my favorite moment, but I think it was just everything. Like they couldn't have done a better job with how they decided that he was going to come back and what he was going to do. I feel like it was just perfect from his entrance to everything back and forth between him and Austin Theory to him showcasing Cody Rhodes and giving him like the stamp of approval. I was just like this, you know, and then of course we know officially now that he's going to have a Mania match. I'm just like I just love it. So,
Yeah. I mean, John Cena could have done anything when he came out this week, and I actually wanted to know your thoughts about it more, or just like a quick brief for anyone who missed the Raw Rewind. But that Cena shut down Theory. It wasn't like a my gift to you is United States, and he hyped up Theory. No, he kind of I I would say faux buried. He
yeah,
like
it's like
faux buried him.
yeah, and I think if this were something that he was still active like all the time, people would be livid because they always want to say. I mean, he's even talked about in promos like this that he has the golden shovel and he's always burying people. Like I remember that promo like vividly when he talked about that. Um, but I think that now that we've seen that him do this a couple times, like I even mentioned on the Raw Rewind about when he did it with AJ Styles, it's very much of like um it kind of is giving his stamp of approval in a way because he didn't have to agree to be on Mania this year and he didn't have to agree that his match was going to be with Theory. Like he could have very easily been like, no, I don't want to work with this young kid. Like I don't want to, but he's back. That's what he's doing. And that's kind of like what he's been doing when he's been coming back to Manias or SummerSlams. It's to help a younger talent be put over. Um, but I think he had to go as far as he did because I would assume he's losing at Mania and Theory is going to stand tall and remain champion. And so this I don't know. It's like it had to happen. It has to make it seem like Theory is overcoming something bigger than just, oh, I defeated John Cena. It's like, no, he didn't believe in me. He thinks I suck, like this and this and that. And like I said, I think that it might be one of those moments that's kind of even similar to like Rock Hogan, Rock Cena, where they like, put the other guy's arm up and
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
like, and that is
Mhm.
their way of like saluting them too and like letting the fans know that like, no, this guy's legit or whatever. I really wouldn't be surprised if that's what we end up seeing. It just kind of feels like that's coming, even though it's not the passing of the torch necessarily. It is kind of like Cena's way of being like, yeah, no, this guy is the complete opposite of what I said on Raw in Boston.
Did you see that if Cena wins at WrestleMania, he would capture his 7th United States title, and it would break Ric Flair's
Mm-hmm.
record of 6 U.S. title reigns, which is the most out of
Mm-hmm.
any superstar. I I I
I
I made a joke of it in my head that, oh, he's gonna have to break the U.S. Ric Flair title record before he breaks the other one. So
yeah,
it's back to the basics of wrestling again. But I don't see that happening.
yeah, I don't either. I think that would be like awful for Theory. like
Talk about golden shovels.
we were just talking about something
Yeah.
before we went live about feeling like someone would be buried, and I feel like that would be like the ultimate bury, especially because of the context of what he said on Raw. Like that would be so bad because I'm assuming that we're not going to really see Cena between now and Mania, maybe once between now and Mania, and that it might not even be in person. It could be just like a video segment
That's
or
what I was gonna.
call.
Yep. Actually, yeah.
So like there's not going to be a whole lot of back and forth to kind of get your mind off of what he said to him on Raw. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I think that would be that would be a bad idea. And I want him to be the one that becomes the 17-time champion. I want him to be the one to beat Ric Flair.
As you
I know
should.
that they're probably going to end up having Charlotte do that for the women, but I when it comes to either Cena or Randy, because I believe Randy's a 15 time, so he would still need two more. I would want it to be Cena.
It
But
it needs to be Cena.
well,
It
see,
just
this is an
needs to.
argument I've gotten into with people on Twitter though, is people disagree with me and they say that Randy deserves it more than Cena. And I'm just like, but
No.
I love Randy. I do. And he wasn't like necessarily, playing second fiddle to Cena when they were
Yeah.
together. They
One
weren't. They were
bit.
very much like both the faces of the company, just
A lot of
obviously did
that.
different directions.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like if either guy deserves it, it just seems like Cena deserves it more. But that
It
is,
absolutely is. It
but
absolutely is Cena. You can't, as much as Randy Orton has been, just as loyal and, Mr. WWE in the sense of not jumping ship.
yeah,
Cena like is the Hogan of this generation. If you just, this is why I do the WrestleMania rewatches, is that
yeah,
you see just timelines and you can understand, okay, during this time frame, this was the megastar and these were the other, superstars around him. And
yeah,
it literally goes Hogan, weird period in the 90s where it was like Triple H, Rock, Austin, Mankind, whatever. And then that weird shit goes away. And then you have John Cena.
yeah.
And
Because some people
that's
might
where it needs
argue
to
it
be.
was The Rock, but I don't think that people remember how like the Rock's career wasn't as long as I think people think
No, it's
it
Stone Cold.
was.
It's Stone Cold from that era, and I'm the biggest Rock fan I know, and it needs it is Stone Cold of that era. It's
Yeah.
and that's yeah.
So should we
So
move on to our lemon?
yeah, I'm really I'll start with my lemon because it's kind of sad in the
Okay.
sense just because I don't know if
Yeah.
this is kayfabe or real. So switching gears from WWE to AEW, uh, Wardlow on AEW posted a video on Twitter that his rent a car, all windows smashed, everything taken, including the TNT Championship belt, and something tells me that this is real
Yeah.
and that some asshole fan did this just from what I've seen online and fans now. And I want your opinion actually on this, Sarah.
Okay.
Do you think fans now with like the autographs and the we'll say this type of fandom of like just wanting merch and anything like that is like I don't want to say all time high, but do you think it's like outrageous?
How much like they stock them and
Right
whatever. Is
now,
that
yes. I think right now compared to, prior, decades before.
um I would say it's hard for me to know how bad it is right now because I don't go to shows often, or I'm not like super deep into wrestling Twitter the way that I used to be. Cause if you asked me this like 10 years ago, it was really bad. Like I went to the airport one time, and that was shortly after I moved to Arizona. And um I was like, "Oh, cool. What? They're going to be here?" And they were going to go there used to be a terminal here that literally only had like Alaska and one other airline, so it was super tiny. And I was like, "Okay, cool." But I felt so uncomfortable the entire time, and I felt
Yeah.
bad. And yet there were still so many people there with tons of things for them to sign, which you knew that they were just trying to sell. They weren't doing it for themselves. And so that was the only time I've ever done that. But I know people who do that every single time they're in town. They go to the airport, they go to the hotels. Like I've heard the stories about Mania weekend
Oh
especially.
my god.
Um and I feel bad for them because most of the time you only see when something negative happens, where of course people forget that they're human beings, and so sometimes they're not going to be in the mood to want to talk to you, want to interact with you, want to sign your stuff. But that's kind of the only time that you ever see anything about it. You don't see, oh, so and so stood there for 20 minutes signing 300 autographs, for all these
Days
people. You
are
never
over.
see that.
Yeah.
But I think the sadder part about it is that it's always grown men. It's always like grown men that are
Really,
standing, like, it's never
really bad for
children.
us. It's really bad for us men over here.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just not good. And I agree. The one video to me that sticks out was Liv Morgan at the airport, and she was signing like they had like a group of older men,
Yep.
kind of doing a semi or half circle around her, and
Yeah.
it was something out of like
It's like a
a
swarm
rom
of
com.
sharks.
Yeah, and I don't like it because there's one thing if it's a little kid who wants
Mhm.
an autograph because it's a little kid who just that means the world to them,
Yeah.
and they don't want to sell it. In fact, if you did sell it, they would probably kill you.
Well, and that's
Now
why a
you
lot of
have
the time they ask them to they personalize it. Sometimes the
that.
wrestler will ask them, "What's your name?" And that's because then
Yes,
you're gonna find it very difficult to sell it.
it's
And
all that,
when they say,
and
"Oh, no, don't do that," then you know too.
yeah, then that's very smart on the wrestler's part,
Yeah.
um, and it's just it's frustrating, and I'm the man who is holding a plastic belt in his basement, and I'm calling that sad.
No,
So
but I
let's
mean,
put things in
you're not
perspective.
going to the airport at 3 in the
No,
morning,
no, I don't care.
no, like, expecting them to be amazing and pleasant to you,
No,
like,
I don't
I
want
think
them to be.
there's definitely a way to do it. That was the only time that I had ever done it, and,
But you
I
experienced it, yeah.
yeah, and I mean, I didn't enjoy meeting them. The only one that I remember having, like, a good interaction with was Cody, and this was in 2013, and I just had, like, adrenaline pumping at that point because I had already met a couple people, and so
So
I
you had
see
some
him, like,
adrenaline in your soul
oh my god, yeah, and,
or something,
yeah,
something, Cody Rhodes.
and then okay, so he comes around the corner, and then I was like, "Cody!" Like, and then I literally apologized to him. I was like, "Oh my god, I am so sorry. I just said that like I knew you. I'm sorry." And, like, he just was kind of like, "Oh, no, like, it's fine." Because I was like, yeah, I was just, like, acting like I was, like, his best friend. Like, "Oh, hey, I haven't seen you in a while." I was like, "This is why I can't do this." Because the second that I get, like, some sort of, like, confidence and adrenaline in
You're
me, then
just
I'm like
you're
a
going
com
all in. No, I
I'm a
love it
complete
though.
dweeb. I'm a complete dweeb. So, I was like, "Never do this again. I can't."
No, but then when like you and Cody are best friends, it's you're like doing it, and he's like, "Oh, what's up, Sarah? How we
Oh my
doing?"
god. Yeah. I know. I mean,
One
no.
day,
But anyway, yeah, so it would be unfortunate if that is real. I kind of like I agree with you. I kind of feel like it is, but
and then
I
Hobbs
guess
won.
maybe in time we will know. But
Yeah,
um my lemon of the week, I mean it's kind of difficult because I feel like, because I am a WWE fan, there's not a whole lot that has happened so far this week. Um I would say that I think I I was a little bit disappointed with how the women's tag team match came about because I was very vocal that I did not want it to be a 3-on-3 match. So, as great as it is and as great as, my team of queens are, and I'm very excited to see them, I was just disappointed. I felt like it just because I mentioned it before when we talked about it. I just can't stop thinking about Naomi and Sasha and being upset about the women's title booking and then I'm sorry, the tag team titles, and then it's not even being featured at Mania. Like
yeah, and I in any other circumstance, I would agree with you.
yeah.
However, if it wasn't WrestleMania in Hollywood and Trish Stratus and Lita involved in the match, it's just that there's no reason to put them up. I mean, it's
No,
the
I
same
mean,
thing as like the U.S. title and Intercontinental not being defended on certain pay-per-views. That's kind of how I view it. Where sometimes you don't need the titles to be defended if the story line is that good.
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's fine. I just mean like they could have taken this in a completely different direction, so then
Yeah,
it would have made sense. And I just felt like if you're gonna leave one of the titles off, I would just have thought that maybe like the women's tag title should have been one that you were wanting to for sure feature on the show, but it is what it is. So,
It is what it is.
do you want to get into some of our favorite Mania things?
Yeah, let's just go right into it because I have a lot of WrestleMania favorites. I was talking to my buddy who I do go to the Limitless shows with, and actually one of the questions that I did have a little topic bars. Him and I were talking about the stages.
Is that what you want to
One.
talk about first?
If you have it up, let's just
Okay.
go around. Let me get my phone out with my notes because I have my
Okay, I
handy
can
dandy
start. I can
notebook for the
start.
rundown.
I can start. I don't have them in order.
It doesn't. Yeah,
None of
it
my stuff
doesn't
is ever
matter.
in order.
It's all right. We're fine with.
Okay, so one of my favorite stages would have to be WrestleMania 30. The gigantic logo in the middle with the giant 3 X's. Amazing. It's like looking back at pictures today because I was like, oh, because stages is not something that I necessarily remember. Like, I don't sit there and
Yeah.
be like, oh yeah, my favorite stage. I do remember ones where I was like, okay, that doesn't look that great, but it's not usually one that I like keep in my brain available
Mhm.
all the time. So if you asked me, I'd be like, I don't know. But WrestleMania 30, yeah, I think that's one that stands out. And then another one that stands out to me before I get to yours, well, I have a few, but WrestleMania
Go.
34, and that was because it was in New Orleans and it was all like Mardi Gras themed and it was so colorful, which was very different for WWE because for the most part they stick to like red, black, blue, maybe. Like it's just very standard like with those colors. And so this
Right.
was really cool that there was like purples, pinks and greens and like it was just really cool. I mean, and it fit the atmosphere obviously, and I thought that was what made it kind of cool, um, because they took advantage of where they were, and I feel like they haven't done that a lot.
No.
Because I mean, obviously when you're in New Orleans, like everyone thinks about Mardi Gras and whatever, but they don't do anything special when they're like in the middle of like Kansas City. You know what I mean? Like, so
No. Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. I had 34 up
Yeah,
there. I love 34. I mean, the
yeah.
color scheme you mentioned. My number one, one of my favorite ones is 19. And this is not recency bias, okay?
Okay.
19 stage is so well done. I don't care how long it is. They needed to make it that long. Just the crowd, like, oh, incredible. And the fact that the way they did it with the background, like the video boards and everything, and how they just like built it out, and then even it's like, all right, why is that stage so long? Well, then you wouldn't have moments like Stratus going over and just like boom, and then the confetti popping out. Like
Yeah.
it makes for better entrances.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, and then I mean the iconic moment of Stone Cold walking to the ring at 19 and that camera following him, and it's that
Mm-hmm.
long little path, and there's the fan, like it makes for great moments like that. And then I liked from the stage into the ring setup, I liked how it was like a mini box, like there's a
Yeah.
little like lane for the entrance,
Yeah.
but then there's just like you're in the ring, and then there's like a mini box of like the outside area,
Yeah.
and then there's the fans. Like it was very well done where it was very centered around the action right there. It was, yeah, I like that. And then a shout out, an honorable mention, because I think you have a couple more. You said
Yes. Yeah.
um 18 does not get the credit it deserves. My buddy
Okay.
said it was a shit ton of scaffolding. I don't care. I think the scaffolding worked. It was an art form.
I would
Underrated.
say another one that I loved was WrestleMania 31. That was the one where they had like the play button in the middle of the screen, and then like the entire entrance ramp was all of a screen as well. I thought that was really cool because they each kind of had like a unique
Mm-hmm.
entrance. Like even if they didn't have an over the top amazing entrance, they still got something on the floor, like on the ground. I thought that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then I liked WrestleMania 26. That's my other one where it was basically like a bunch of screens that they just had like basically like blocks like on top of each other. And so I just felt like it made the entrances feel so much bigger because it's like, yeah, they had like the little Tron so you could see it, but like all these screens just like
Yeah.
you'll see it if you don't remember, but
Yeah.
Um, I liked that
And we'll
because
get that pay-per-view.
it was just it was one of those ones that I feel like they actually put in more effort for the stage rather than, sometimes it'll be like the ring has like stuff all over it, like above it or whatever. Like that's the main focus of what they do. But I like when they actually like put a lot of detail into right when they come out because like that's more so what people are looking at, like as great as that is that you can make the ring look cool, most of the time you're just putting in things that are blocking people's view. So
Yeah.
like I'd rather you do a bunch of detail over there than block my view. But
Yeah, I agree with that. I like 33.
yes, I
When
had that one on
that
here too.
33 is that I don't care. I feel like after looking at my favorite stages, I feel like I'm a big long entrance ramp guy because every single one like that 33 Undertaker started halfway the ramp.
No, it's like there's another one. I don't remember if it was that one or maybe it was um 31 that also because they also had the one with the screen.
Yeah.
Um Randy Orton. That was when he was a fucking heel and he took 18 minutes to get from the entrance ramp to the ring. And so it's like that is something where I was just like, dude, are you not like you don't have to run, but can you like briskly walk?
Can we
Like can
just
you
like
do
speed it
something?
up?
But
Yeah.
it's like it doesn't work for him because it's like no, like I'm a bad guy. Like I take my time. And I'm like it's like it was like Undertaker 2.0.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it
That
was
was
just yeah, that one's crazy.
17
Um
I liked because the banners on the side was cool.
mhm.
And then, yeah, if you have not been catching on, that all our favorite stages are past 19 and beyond, or 17 and beyond, essentially, because if you remember, only 9. And I'm going to give the only good thing about WrestleMania 9 was that it was at Caesar's Palace and they went all out with the entrance. I mean, the fucking fact that I got to see JR in a toga. Come on.
Yeah.
That's every wrestling fan's dream.
Yeah, that's what I dream of on a
Right?
nightly
Isn't it?
basis.
It's incredible. All right.
So before we get into like full blown entrances and matches, how about we do like our favorite moments?
Ooh, all right. Okay. I'm gonna start out with I would say my favorite for a sad reason, Taker losing.
Yeah,
Because I
I was just talking about that with
there are a
someone.
few things in life that I can describe back to you with vivid detail,
Mhm.
and Undertaker losing is one of those moments.
Yeah.
My brother wa just quick synopsis. Brother was home from California, had to sleep on the couch in the living room or whatever area because he took my bed. And obviously I'm the only wrestling fan in Quincy essentially. So I was watching it on my iPad and I tuned in a little late to 30 because he was home and, occasions. And I was halfway through the Brock Undertaker match. I'm like, oh, sweet, like, just in time.
Mhm.
And I am just watch this intently, and then when the ref counts to 3,
I know.
I didn't think it was real. I really didn't. My mouth dropped, and I was frozen for a good 10 minutes, or at least until they showed the Undertaker gift guy, who that
Yeah.
face, that iconic. Once they showed that, I went full out laughter. I could not stop laughing. So there was that nice break, but oh, I will never forget that moment. I don't think any wrestling fan would.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought about putting that one on here, but it's definitely one like you said, it's not like a favorite moment, but it's definitely like a standout moment.
Yeah, like
And yeah, that is a conversation we could have for another day because that
that's
whole thing
another whole
is
yeah.
very confusing to me. But okay, one of my favorite moments, unfortunately, a lot of mine are like recent, but that's okay. I would say Seth Rollins cashing in his money in the bank during Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 31 and winning. That is just like and the best part, other than the fact that he did it like in the middle of the match, which was something that they hadn't really done before. Usually they would wait until the end. So that was iconic. I loved that when he was walking up, he swung the title how he used to. And I was just like, this is why you are my king. You are my king. I know that was so epic. It was just so good and it was so perfectly timed. And
So good.
it's one of those that still like gives me goosebumps when I watch it because there's a few cash-ins that are really really good. Um, but that one is definitely one that I'm just like I don't know. One of the more
Oh, I'm
iconic
with you
ones.
there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those are my
Um,
favorites.
and then I guess another one would be for me from WrestleMania 20, Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero celebrating in the ring together at the end of the show because they both were world champ, WWE champion at the time. And if you knew how close they were outside of the ring and how hard they had worked to get to that moment, I mean, both of them were like nearing 40, and it was like the first time that they had been WWE champion. It was just that's another one that I think, similar to like what you said about The Undertaker. Um, that image of them like hugging and crying in the ring is something that's like ingrained in my brain. So I had to include that one because,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
it's not on mine, but that was
yeah,
one of those moments that it's sad due to circumstances that it won't be, honored the way it should
yeah,
on television, but it's such I would say pivotal moment in
mm,
wrestling because it's not the biggest guys. It's
yeah,
not the Vince McMahon prototype champion. These
mhm,
are wrestlers, and they went up through the business, in the, I would say, in this day and age, indies,
yeah, yeah,
with the territories, indies, tomato
yeah,
potato, and it's just their journey. Like, that's one of those moments where you're like, this is a special moment happening, and it's sad that it won't get the credit that it deserves
yeah.
for
I feel you.
what's my other
I
one?
have a couple more.
I have a couple more. The Hardys returning at WrestleMania 33.
Oh yeah, I loved that too.
Maybe one of my favorite moments of all time, not only because I broke my friend's chair jumping up and down on it. I was like, it was instinctual. I didn't know
Yeah,
what to do. Body unbelievable. But it was the fact that it was in the age of social media, which we're in right now,
yeah, and it
and it
didn't leak.
wasn't spoiled. And it
No.
wasn't spoiled. And there's certain aspects or certain moments like that where if it doesn't get spoiled, like I would equivocate it to Sting returning at Survivor Series or
Mhm.
debuting at Survivor Series, excuse me.
Mhm.
AJ Styles at the Royal Rumble, just moments like that where, yeah, you might hear talks about it, but no one's taking it,
Yeah.
Dave Meltzer serious.
Yeah.
So to have that and then hearing the stories after it, not only on the Extreme Life pod, but on other documentaries and shit,
Mhm.
like, it makes you appreciate it that much more. That,
And I
like, oh
love the
shit,
New Day.
went through everything.
Yeah, and I love the New Day's reaction.
Oh,
They were
best.
just as hyped as everybody else in the audience.
Oh my god. And was that the same Mania too that Triple H and Batista fought each other? Because Xavier Woods also has another hell of
I
a
know,
moment
that is an
there.
epic moment. I love to
That's
rewatch
another
that.
that could be a WrestleMania moment.
Yeah. But speaking of the New Day, I would say one of my other favorite moments is Kofi Mania.
Well,
Kofi beating Daniel Bryan.
I was gonna say, we have a comment here. Someone
Yes.
said Kofi Mania. This was before we even went live.
I know,
They
hours
sent this
before.
in.
Yeah, that
Good
was
shit, Micah. You
was at
did it.
1:40 my time, I believe. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think that was a moment. I feel like it's memorable in so many different ways because for one, it was kind of similar to when Daniel Bryan first won. It just felt like the complete underdog. There's no way they're ever going to put the title on this guy. And that was kind of what it was with Kofi too. It was like you didn't see it happening. And then it happened, and it was just another moment that I feel like a lot of people remember exactly where they were or how they felt when they saw it. And something that stands out to me the most about that is wrestlers' reaction, particularly black wrestlers' reaction, because he did become the first ever black WWE champion, which is fucking crazy to me. Absolutely insane that it took that long for that to happen.
Yeah,
But
right?
I just remember, and it's sad at this point because I remember a picture, or I think it was a video of MVP and Shad Gaspard
That's what I was gonna.
crying
Yeah, I
when
was
it
gonna.
happened, and it's
Yeah,
just so sad thinking about it now just because of Shad. So sad, but
that was very sad.
um it's really cool to see, people might not understand wrestling and they might make fun of you for watching it or for caring or being emotionally invested in it, whatever, but it's like that just shows you how much of a grip and how much it has on people and how much it means to people because two men were crying because of what they were witnessing. So it just shows you how important it can be. And that, yeah, that's something that I think I will forever remember.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a really cool moment watching that
Hmm.
with my friends at school, who
Yeah.
are also into it, and they like got the significance of it, and it was just a really special moment. And what was I gonna say? I have a couple. Oh, I
I
said
have
take
one
or
more.
leave. Yeah, what's your one more?
My last one is just Becky Two Belts at WrestleMania
Oh,
35.
that was yeah, that was a really special moment.
Yeah, it's finally when Becky got like her recognition. It was kind of, she had become the man and found her place, I guess, in the women's roster. I kind of feel like it took time for Becky to become Becky Lynch,
Hmm.
and this was kind of that defining moment for her. And as my favorite current female wrestler, that was a really cool moment. And looking back on it in hindsight, I fucking love that it happened over Charlotte. So
And people forget they kind of screwed up the finish,
yes, I know, but I
but she was
I
gonna win
just
anyway, so I
uh,
don't really care. You had to have
yeah,
Becky Lynch go over there, so I'm all right with that.
yeah.
Mine is The Rock beating John Cena,
Okay.
and why this is my favorite is because this is when I mean everyone takes a little hiatus off of wrestling and then always comes back home, and I just got back into it in high school, and it was one of those moments where I was watching it down here. My friends came over to watch it, even though they weren't fans of it, and they were all in on it or weren't all in on it like I was. And then uh to have the main event, and I don't know if my other best friend was there, but my definitely the clock tower, Big Ben was there, and them seeing like I don't, this is a weird way to describe it, but like to experience that and then have your like best friends there too,
Yeah.
and they have no idea why, like it's like it was a weird moment. It was a nice moment because The Rock obviously is like
I
my
cried.
favorite of all time. Like Dwayne
Mhm.
Johnson, it goes Dwayne Johnson, Tom Brady, Pedro Martinez, my three favorite athletes of all time. And to have him win and come back and just how he looked, like it was just incredible. It was just it was like it was awesome.
I cried.
I think I did shed a tear. I was jumping up and down.
No, I cried because I was upset.
I know you were, and
Okay,
that's
okay.
sad. And John Cena's up there, and he's on the entrance ramp, and he's
A
doing a
very
lot of
iconic
this
photo.
very iconic photo. We're probably gonna see in 2K23.
Yeah. So,
So
yeah, that I thought about taking one of those, but uh no. Because I didn't I didn't think of it in a fond way. I was like, "Nah, that's not one of my favorites." Um okay, so let's go on to entrances. Let's wait on matches cuz maybe we're just
yeah,
kind of like going in order, you know? So favorite WrestleMania entrances. I have a lot. I have one, two, three, four, five, six. I have seven, but I don't necessarily have to say all of them. But
no, let it rip. We let a couple
um,
rip before I
I
go.
guess maybe I'll go in order. So I actually have some older ones. So one of my favorites is from WrestleMania 13, Stone Cold Steve Austin, when they had the glass that said Austin 316, and it shattered along to the music. That was just like very simple, nothing over the top, just like so perfectly made for him and that character in that moment. Like it didn't need to be anything bigger than that. A lot of these other ones that I'm going to talk about are just very over the top.
Oh,
But
very,
that
yeah.
one, I feel like with Stone Cold though, that type of thing doesn't fit him. It is like the simplicity of the glass shattering is all he needs. Like, I mean, basically every other time that people can remember, he rides out in a 4-wheeler and that's it. And it's like, yeah, but that's like epic and cool and it fits him. So,
It's
um,
awesome.
but yeah, this was definitely for me, the more of the simple ones, and then
Mhm.
I'll do a second one before I get to before you then you can go. WrestleMania 18, and the only reason why I love it was because it was NWO entrance of
Oh,
Hollywood Hogan against The Rock. And you know me,
that match
I'm
was
an NWO girl because it's for life.
for life.
And I mean, I was never like a huge fan of Hulk Hogan, but I was a big fan of Hollywood Hogan because NWO.
Obviously.
But I just loved that because NWO entrances are top notch. So, and
Elite.
that was an iconic match. It's a huge match.
That was a
So
huge match. That would slip under the radar of
yeah, and
Scott Hall
so
versus Stone Cold.
yeah,
That was, all right. So my favorite entrance is just without a doubt Taker 19 to Limp Bizkit. I mean, where else
Mhm.
are you gonna have a basically a Limp Bizkit concert? And
Yep,
then the Undertaker just comes out on the motorcycle with the American flag on the back, and then daps up Fred Durst in the ring. I just like
it's
that
the
is
WWE's
WrestleMania.
favorite band.
What?
It's the WWE's favorite
It's the
band.
WWE's favorite band, according to Tony Chimmel. Like it's incredible. Oh my god, that I could watch that entrance over and over and over again. And then the Cena WrestleMania 22 sticks out because it was one of the first ones I saw when I was a kid
Hmm.
that was just not your usual
Yeah,
entrance. It had the little B-roll vignette type of thing with the Chicago gangsters and all that, and then you have the ramp lifting, and you're like, what the hell is going on here?
yeah.
And and then Cena comes out and shoots the guns and all that. Like
Do you
it
know
was
who one of
so
the mob? Do you know who one of the mobsters was? CM
cult of
Punk.
personality, baby.
CM Punk is John Cena's bitch.
He
Just okay, but anyway,
really is. But
yeah, I know.
uh, so that was incredible. I could rewatch that one. I couldn't. I was trying to decide between that one and the Babe Ruth Basic Thugonomics when he interrupted Elias.
Don't
But
talk about it yet. That's on
oh,
my
sure.
list.
Well,
That's
you
on
know what?
my list.
Segue into you. There it is.
Okay, well,
Bah!
I was going in order, and that's jumping ahead,
Whoa.
but I'll talk about that one. Okay, so I guess I'll talk about my two John Cena ones, because sure. So my
John
first one is John Cena at WrestleMania 25, which is the 800 fake John Cenas lining up on the entrance ramp, and very reminiscent of Who's the Real Slim Shady. This is Who's the
Who's the real
Real
John
John
Cena?
Cena. Um, I just, it's another one that I feel like is very simple, but they executed it very well. And it's, like I said, it might be a simple one, but I think that's one that stands out in a lot of people's minds if they are someone who's watched WrestleManias over the last like 20 years or so. I think that's one that definitely stands out because no one else has ever done anything like that. Imagine how many dudes they had to hire to do that. That was a lot of guys because that was not a short entrance ramp.
Lot of John Cena's.
And then, of course, my other favorite John Cena is WrestleMania 35, the Basic Thugonomics entrance versus Elias.
So confused when that was happening. My buddy called it. It was incredible.
I I can't really explain how I was behaving when that music started because I was in utter shock, in emotional but very excited, and I would just, yeah, it's one that I enjoy watching a lot because when I first fell in love with John Cena, it was his Basic Thugonomics era. I mean, so much so that I know the rap. So
Oh, I know that rap all too well too.
I
So
know. I
yeah.
and his current one, which is it's just, yeah. Um okay, so I have three more, so let me just do one more. Well, one more for now. Bray Wyatt, WrestleMania 30. They had the live performance with the Wyatt family. Is that one of yours?
No.
Oh, okay. Um, I I just love how the band was all like decked out in very geared, like in costume that looked like they could have been a part of the Firefly Funhouse or just like fit into the Wyatt family world. They even had the like fire dancer at the beginning, them
Yeah.
coming out with the lantern. It's just like it was so perfect because that era of Bray Wyatt is hands down my favorite.
Yeah.
And
A lot of
so to
people.
see that at WrestleMania, all the lights are out, everyone has their flashlights on, like just so good. So good.
It was unbelievable. I would say that one was good. Sting WrestleMania 31 was incredible too. I like that entrance better than the match. Oh no, that's a lie. I love the match. Um, and then what was my other one? I had one more here. CM Punk WrestleMania 29 because he came out to a live rendition of Cult of Personality by Living Color,
Yeah.
and that was the first time I ever saw Living Color perform.
Oh,
Like,
really?
I did not know that
They were not
they
white?
were actually Living Color. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
It's
So
so funny, I've watched people do reaction videos to the music video, and people have no idea,
you have
but
no idea.
I know, but they're so good.
It was unbelievable, the performance. It
That
was
is
so
what hands
good.
down one of my favorite all-time entrance music themes songs.
Oh,
Like, I don't like CM Punk, I hate CM Punk, but that other than the fact that it fit so perfectly when he returned and went from, his old theme to that,
yeah,
which was perfect. Um, it's just such a good song. Like even when I would be at shows and he would come out, I would be singing along, even though I was like, I hate this guy. I hate
yeah,
this guy. Like I'm
yeah.
like, but this is such a good song. So,
I've been
um,
obsessed with his Ring of Honor one now. His
oh, I
Ring of
don't.
Honor entrance theme. I can't stop listening to it.
Oh,
It's an AFI song.
really?
Yeah, it's like I'll send it to you
It's
after.
murder. No,
It,
I'm just kidding.
it is like it makes me want to just run through a wall and
And be
just
like,
like they can take
hey,
our lives.
and be like,
Like,
hey.
you can take our freedom. Hey.
Do you understand my reference?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure. I was like, sometimes I'm just,
No, I got it. I was doing my own little Braveheart little thing where.
Oh, okay. So my last two, Triple H at WrestleMania 33.
Yep. Okay, I'm glad we
He had the
agree.
police escort with Stephanie looking hot on the
Holy
back of that
fuck.
motorcycle. Oh my god, she looks
So hot.
so good. So good. I even was tweeting about how I was like, this chick, man. So good. I loved every
Bad.
second of that. It was so epic, so amazing. They are the king and queen, just amazing. And since we were talking about live performances, I would say Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania 34. He had the guitarist from Alice Cooper's band and all of the violinists playing his entrance song. And it's the only time we have seen Shinsuke have like a real Mania match, basically. And that entrance song is one of my favorites of all time. And to have them playing it live was just amazing.
Did you know that the violin is one of my favorite instruments?
I did not.
It is one of my favorite instruments to listen to.
That is pretty cool.
I
Good to know.
I fucking love violins. Don't
Okay.
even get started.
Anyway,
All right.
let's get into our favorite
Before we
Mania
get into violins,
matches. I fucking love the violin, dude. Oh my
Almost
god,
again.
it gets me so hyped, dude.
People going.
Okay, let's see. Mine's not in order, but I mean maybe
Oh,
should I
there's
go
no
in
order.
order of what WrestleManias?
If you want, whatever floats your boat.
Okay. Some of these, maybe I'll go with the two that everyone already knows, or at least if you pay attention to what I have to say on the show
Yeah.
most of the time, then you already know these matches. So, Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 10, the ladder match for the Intercontinental title, one of my favorite matches of all time. One of my other favorite matches of all time, Chris Benoit versus Triple H versus HBK at WrestleMania 20 for the World Heavyweight Championship.
I can't wait to watch that in the next.
Oh my god,
couple
so
hours.
good.
Oh my god.
I think
19, 20, 21, 22.
I know you're gonna.
23.
Well, hey, at least it's great that you have that excitement because I mean, it's not like they're short shows. Like I feel like you kind of
No,
need to get excited so you're like, I'm ready for 4 hours of wrestling.
they are 3 to 4 hour shows,
Yeah, I know. Well, and then they keep getting longer.
and they're just
Recently
gonna
they've been
get
getting like
longer.
5, and then they were like, we're gonna do two days, and now it's like 10 hours of wrestling. Is like okay.
So much, so
Um, okay, let's see another one for WrestleMania 20. I would say Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle. Very
that
good.
was a really good one.
Very good match for both of them. Very great showing for Eddie Guerrero. And yeah, that led to one of my favorite WrestleMania moments at the end of WrestleMania 20. So,
I would go in no order. Taker, Triple H with HBK as special ref at 28.
mhm. Mhm.
That isn't just a favorite match because of the match itself, but same night as the Rock thing, where my best friends and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
That was the one of the few times that I invited all them over, and every single one of us were going crazy. That like with the false finishes and the turns of HBK kicking Undertaker with the Sweet Chin Music
Mhm.
and different things like that. Like you were so emotionally invested. Like, oh my god! Like if there's anyone that could dethrone the Undertaker's streak, it's going to be Triple H. And oh my god, of course it's DX too. But like
Yeah.
so it was that element, and then to have that moment at the entrance ramp where they're
Yeah.
all kind of like that. That is just an iconic moment. That it's the passing of the torch of there's a new era. We're not doing this for much longer.
Mhm.
So I love that. And then what was the other one I have here in my notes section? Matches TLC 1. It's the one match that I show to every friend of mine who isn't really a wrestling fan, but I want them to watch wrestling because yes, it's a TLC match. It's extreme and hardcore and everything, but if there's any tag team that knows how to tell a story in the ring with weapons or no weapons, it is the three tag teams in this match with the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardys. So
That was one of mine too.
it just that match I could rewatch every day and would not be upset about it. And
Yep.
I'm so excited to actually have a day where I drive to one of my longer fish routes and listen to Matt Hardy go through that on his podcast. I'm very excited for that.
I think that's also one of the most like famous WrestleMania clips of Jeff hanging from the titles like
Hey, we're trying
and
the
then being
ladder.
speared. I feel like that's one of the most recognizable clips
Everyone,
of
yeah,
WWE history. Like you might not even have been alive for it. Maybe you haven't seen it, but you definitely know that it was a good match.
yeah.
Um let's see. I would say okay, so one of my other ones I talked about it even recently, Bray Wyatt versus John Cena at WrestleMania 36. Very untraditional match, but so cool and so unique. Um and they did a really good job with it. I feel like where, some people might not love it and especially cuz it wasn't like a real match. I just felt like it was really cool and it just fit Bray Wyatt so well and John Cena just embraced it. So like it worked really great and I don't know, I feel like it's a very memorable match
I
because of all of
agree.
that.
I'd agree with that.
Um Another one, Becky Lynch versus Charlotte versus Sasha Banks for the first ever women's main event at WrestleMania 32. Amazing. I
That was-
mean, three of the four horsewomen, and the fact that they were the first ever women's main event at Mania, it like still gives me chills.
It was
So
Ronda that was main event, not Sasha.
I thought it was Sasha. No, this one's Sasha. Mania 32.
32 is Sasha, but they didn't. Sasha didn't main event the first one.
What do you?
Sasha wasn't in the main event of the first ever main event women's triple threat.
Oh, I thought that was the first. Wait, what? Wait, it wasn't the first ever? The other one, Becky, too. That one was Charlotte, Ronda, and Becky's
Yeah,
35.
that's the one that main evented for the
Oh, I
first
thought it was
time.
Becky, Charlotte, and Sasha.
They didn't main event Mania. That main event that year was Roman and Triple H.
Are you sure?
I am 1,000% positive because Shane McMahon plopped to his own death from Hell in a
Oh,
Cell. That
I
same
thought
one.
that was the first ever. Well, anyway,
No,
that's one of them. And then Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania
I mean that
38.
one was absolutely incredible.
I know that people like the Hell in a Cell match better, but I feel like that one was great, but I feel the shock factor, the excitement, the energy between both of them, but especially with Cody, I think that just like tops Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell is just different because of, Cody's injury and Seth's
Yeah,
trolling with the black and yellow polka dot. So like there's a different level there, but I think 38 was
yeah,
WrestleMania
I would
38 was
agree.
better.
And then my favorite WrestleMania match of all time is HBK Kurt Angle. This
Mm,
is probably the best technical match WWE put on in a very long time at that point. And when I rewatched as a kid,
mhm,
I didn't understand why I loved it. I had when my friend and I would watch it and he's, watching it just like casual, whatever, but my eyes were glued to that
mm.
television. And anytime that happens with me, I know that something special is there. I may not know what it is, but
Yeah,
I feel it. And something there, like you knew that you were watching two masters in their craft.
yeah.
And like that's a dream match in itself to have. So I mean that's just a favorite one of mine. What's in you mentioned one that I liked. Oh, The Undertaker AJ Styles, just the fact that I never
Mm,
thought that would ever happen. And then to have that be Undertaker's like, I'm counting that as his last match.
yeah,
I don't know what
yeah,
happened in Saudi Arabia, but not here.
yeah.
Um, so those yeah, those would be my favorite ones. And Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, Batista was incredible because
Mhm.
obviously I may have had my jaw on the floor for the Undertaker loss, but it was picked
I
right back
walk for
up.
miles inside this pit of danger. So good. That's one of my favorite entrances ever.
Walk alone.
You know what else is
Incredible.
really great about Batista?
Oh, the
When he said
this.
he quit.
I quit.
Yeah. Just like
I quit.
so good. So good.
So that
But
all we up
anyway,
for
yeah.
oh, sweet. All right. Well, now it's time because I didn't realize we've been just going on. It's been now. I've been having just so much fun just diving into WrestleMania talk. I just
Mhm.
lost track of time. Time moves fast when you're having fun. I think that's the phrase. But now it's time for the 1, 2, 3 count. So one, right, Sarah. I don't know. You. We've talked about 2K on here, WWE 2K, the new, the game that's coming out. And a lot has came out with the My Rise, their My Player version.
Mhm.
And holy shit, I think I have to take the Roman Reigns here and stream My Rise character because the shit you can do in that, you can join the Hurt Business, you can
Oh.
join Evolution,
Oh
there's a
wow.
men and women storyline, different characters you can do there and go your own path. And then here's where I'm really excited for, and this is where the NWF is going to come into play. Universe mode has been pretty much so user friendly that you can pick what type of actions you want your superstars to do before and after the match when
Oh
you're
wow.
making the card. Like it is so interactive, so user friendly, and it's one of those things where I'm seeing it and I'm like the NWF and what I wanted to do with that is going to come sooner rather than later because they're just making it that much easier for me to do and just for us to do the dream match commentary stuff. Like
Yeah.
there's so much there. Like 2K23 is going to be such a good game, and I'm so excited for it.
I'm excited that you're excited.
Thank you. At least somebody is. And two, if you had a ticket, you found a ticket to every Mania in the past, and you get one in your hand, you can go to that WrestleMania and relive that moment. Which one are you choosing?
Like relive the entire show?
You like, yeah. So, okay, the basis of this question is when I used to collect action figures and you get the Legends character, the Legends boxes, they would have a ticket from an event that either the superstar wore that attire at or it was
Okay.
from. And I once got a ticket, a fake ticket, for WrestleMania in Boston.
Mhm.
So my base is like, say, like you open a box and holy shit, there's a ticket to a WrestleMania. You get to choose whatever Mania you want, and you get to relive that show from start to finish. Once it's over, you go back to your timeline. We'll say, what WrestleMania are you choosing?
Um, I think because I talked about it so much, I would have to say 20.
Not a bad choice. That's not
Yeah,
a bad
I
choice.
think 20.
I would. Part of me wants to say the obvious of 17 or 19 because those are the best ones. But I want to go 2000. I don't know what it was, but that was like that Mania. I know that there was only one singles match, and it was Kitty versus Terry with Val Venus as a special ref. Like, I mean, but that is just that's it. With Mania with me, like that is the everything entertainment. Yeah, The Rock may not have won it, and things could have or should have gone a certain way, but I could rewatch that WrestleMania every single year, and I would feel the same. Like it's just one of those where if I was in that crowd to be there for certain people, I know the stage wasn't the best, and it didn't have the glitz and glamour that WrestleMania these days now have, but it's the
Mhm.
star power and the types of the type of chaos. I would say
Yeah.
nonsense that ensues. It's right up my alley. I would take WrestleMania 2000.
Okay. So that would be 20, 20 or
Two 2000.
I know. So I'm saying, yeah, but that would be 16. 16?
16.
Yeah.
16.
WrestleMania
WrestleMania
16.
16. I would
It
take
seems like
16.
such a random number that is not talked about a lot.
Isn't it bizarre though that they went instead of WrestleMania 16, they went 2000?
Yeah. That is, I mean, I get it though. WrestleMania 2000, it makes sense. It kind
It
of sounds
hits.
better than 16, but
Yeah.
it is kind of weird because it's like one of the only ones that is not just named its year
Mm,
number. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I got that. And then three, final count. I need a prediction from you, Sarah. Wild prediction
Okay.
for what you think will, happen or what you want to happen at this year's WrestleMania. And I'm not saying like a prediction like, oh, Cody's gonna win and oh, the Usos will lose and whatever. Like, I want something that just wild that you're like, I want this to happen, and I don't care what anyone thinks.
Oh, um, I don't know. That's a good question. Um, well, unfortunately, we don't have any like money in the bank cash-ins that can happen because I would have said that maybe. I don't. What do you have one?
Edge versus Balor.
Oh,
Balor's going for the win.
okay.
All of a sudden, you see something on the screen, and who comes out but Jay White? And Jay White interferes. Edge gets the win. Jay White now starts a little bit of a mini feud with Finn. Is he going to join Judgment Day? Is he not? And then he pulls the same old AJ Styles shit. And who comes back after Backlash? AJ Styles and the OC team up with Jay, and boom. That would be incredible. That'd be unbelievable.
I guess I mean I definitely I don't know. I would have to give it more thought, but since we talked about it last night, I feel like if we are going to see the end of the bloodline basically, I would almost love to see Solo turn because if we're thinking that they're going to have him face Roman at some point, I feel like that would be so unexpected. That would be kind of cool for him to have that moment. Um especially with at the
Yeah.
demise of the bloodline. It would be kind of cool to be like Solo's just like, all right, I'm done with this. But I don't
Yeah.
have like a crazy prediction the way I did for like the Royal Rumble when I said like Vince McMahon is gonna come out. Like that would
And like
be
win the Rumble at 30.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
fuck it,
I
Tony.
mean, but I feel like at this one it's like, yeah, I don't know because I don't know. I would have to think about it. Maybe I'll come back with a better answer.
Well, we got another show for you to come back with another answer at on Saturday for the SmackDown breakdown. We'll be back. That's our next time we'll be here on the stream, Yard of Streams, I might add. Thank you guys for tuning into this edition of Pits and Sara's Wrestling Show, which is a podcast not only on Sara's YouTube channel, but a podcast on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, you name it, we're there. So hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, and also that 5-star rating. Follow us on Twitter at Pat_Pits and at SMarshXO. And then Instagram, follow me at Pitsy35 and at SMarsh_. And then if you're watching this on Twitter, thank you. But you can also watch it on Sarah's YouTube channel at Sarah Marshall XO, where not only you can find these past live streams, but you can find clips of the live streams, because I get it. In this day and age, everyone's on the go, go, go. You don't have an hour and 10 minutes and 48 seconds to sit here with us and talk about WrestleMania. So you want to see just clips about what your favorite elements are. What are your favorite entrances and theme songs from WrestleMania? So, you can do that by checking out the clips in the archives at Sarah's YouTube channel at Sarah Marshall XO. And that's all I got for us here. Thank you guys for tuning in. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All you got to do is try. We'll see you on Saturday.